Hi, everybody. Welcome back. If you didn't notice, it's kind of dark. We've got our lights on right now because we had power out on this side of the building. The other side, we got lights. So yeah, there's lights back there. So we're just dark on this side. So the part of the picture, but we're just running off the lights on the camera. And I've got Andrew Smith here from National Comfort Institute in the booth. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, Mitch.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing out there?
Welcome in, by the way. Welcome in. So, tell me a little bit about, first of all, let's talk about Andrew Smith. What's your background? How did you get started first in the business, and then how did you end up with National Comfort Institute?
So I ended up in this industry on a fluke. Do you remember the penny saver?
Yeah.
I answered an ad in the back of a penny saver for a duct cleaner.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I knew nothing about air conditioning heating. I thought the outdoor unit pumped cold air in the house. And that was about 25 years ago.
Really? So you answered a duct cleaning one, and that's how you got into the business. That's awesome.
Yep.
And so how did you end up being, I take it you went from that to tech install or what?
I started out with that and then became an installer. Well, install helper, and then became an installer, then became a maintenance tech, to a service tech, been a manager, basically installation, service, general manager, started teaching at a tech school, got involved with iHacking, started teaching with iHacking, and so in about 2012, I went to one of my first iHacking classes, and it changed my career.
Did you? Okay, so you and who was teaching the class for you in that one?
That would have been John Dalton.
John Dalton taught the class. That's awesome. And it was a live class. It wasn't a webinar.
Live cast over.
Well, back then they didn't do webinars. Very rarely they do. So did you go to school for this?
I never went to school for this.
Welcome to my world.
Okay.
But the school of hard knocks is what everybody like to put it. So how long have you been doing it total?
Almost 26 years.
26 years. Okay. So that's a long time, by the way. And then how did you get involved with National Comfort Institute?
As you know, Jeff is my direct supervisor.
Jeff Sturgeon, yes.
Jeff Sturgeon was also one of my service managers at a company that I worked for. And he made a phone call to me. I was working with Lennox National Account Services as a field technical specialist, traveling all over the United States. And he gave me a call and said, I'd like to come work at NCI.
Yeah, full-time.
Full-time. And I said, well, I don't know. We got to sit down and we got to figure out some numbers, because at this point in my career, it's got to be a little bit of a numbers game. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
And it worked.
And it worked.
I've
I've been here almost 3 years, and I don't ever plan on having another job.
Yeah, and the thing is, you do a lot of traveling though? How far are you going usually for some of the classes? Are you just doing mostly Anaheim and maybe a little north?
The majority of my classes I'm doing out of Anaheim. I do some Northern California classes. I go to Colorado. I've been to Montana, but nothing like all the time. It's just more of Anaheim.
So do you feel that your field experience and also that you did it like the Hard Knocks version, that you're able to really more speak toward the trade when you're talking to these guys? Because you understand, you were one of the ones that were out there in the field actually doing it, but you're also one of the ones that, I don't know how to fix this unit. I got to figure that out. And somebody pointed you, or you had to take a class, or like my dad used to do when I couldn't figure something out. He'd reach behind, grab Doolin's Bible, and say, read the book. I had to, and then I had to read the book and go fix the unit the next day.
It kind of, I'm pretty mechanically inclined. I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means. I still make mistakes. I've burned up way more components and ruined more systems than most. Bosses still put up with me. But basically, when I would have a problem that I couldn't fix, I had plenty of resources and plenty of mentors that I could start to reach out to. Before 2012, I just guessed. Literally. I changed every part in the unit until I changed the right one. I'm serious.
No. There's a lot of guys out there to do that, And that's one reason I tell them when I mentor guys. I had one guy that had changed the gas valve, the ignition module, the inducer motor, the pressure switch, got done doing all that. And he finally calls me and he says, this is the third day, and he goes, it's delay igniting. And I said, Did you check the crossover tube? 30 minutes later, he's cleaned them, got it reinstalled, and the ignition's done. What I wondered is, did he charge the customer for all that?
Yeah, and that's kind of where I wasn't intentionally doing the wrong job for customers. I just didn't know any better.
Right.
And then, you know what, my sales were actually pretty high because everything was truly broken to me. I could look at you straight in the face and be like, I can't fix it. And they would, remember at that time, customers were more, you were the professional. So they took what you said, no problem. What do they do now? As soon as you say something, they pull up Google.
Yeah.
Like, it's nuts.
Yeah, they look it up, and they look up the prices. How can you charge me $300 for a run capacitor? And then I actually send them a spreadsheet. I made a video on it so that I will send the video to them. Usually when they watch the video, they'll go, all right, makes sense. I think that's fair.
When it comes to pricing, to me, the price is the price. If I go out and I quote a job for somebody, the price is whatever it is. And for me, if I have push back on the price, I didn't educate the customer enough on what I'm doing. That's kind of, and I know like it gets a little gray when it comes to parts because they want to pull up the price of the part. They want it, but the convenience, you have it on your truck. You're sending a person out there that's got insurance that has to have medical insurance, all these other benefits. $300 on a capacitor is cheap.
$300. Some guys have told me, in the comments, that's one of my most commented videos. They were like, you're cheating the customer, you're ripping them off, to as many as like, I charge way more than you for that part. How do you stay in business? So either way. So tell us about, because NCI does a lot of training. Just tell us some of the training that NCI does.
We specialized when it first started in California. It didn't start in California, it started in Ohio, but everything was airflow oriented. It starts with airflow first. Indoor airflow. Yeah, indoor airflow. My first experience with NCI was with Scott Johnson in the back of a Sigler. I think it was about 2013-ish, somewhere in that realm. And he was in the back of the Sigler, and the guy rattled off 300 slides in 2 hours. Nobody knew what he was talking about, but we all bought manometers. And that was like my introduction. And I started going to more and more classes. So we really specialize in airflow. We've got residential system performance, residential air balancing. And then we started getting into the refrigeration side. So now we have a refrigerant side performance, able to actually check the refrigerant charge without hooking up gauges.
Right. So the non-invasive testing.
Non-invasive testing.
Yeah, non-invasive. So we don't want to put our gauges on if we don't have to.
That's correct.
Only gauge up when we need to. So you guys are now doing some electrification classes through Tech program. That's one of the things you're in the booth with Tech.
We're in the
support their stuff. Talk about some of the electrification classes and the things that they do.
Well, and once again, back to the electrification classes, we're focusing more on how the building is set up, a little bit more on the design side. So any of the residential classes that we offer are all part of the Tech program, because basically there's the key to success on a piece of equipment. Number one, it has to be designed right. Number two, it has to be installed right. Number three, it has to be commissioned right. And then number four, it has to be maintained correctly. With those four things, we cover all of that throughout our classes. So converting over from a gas-fired appliance to an electrical appliance, most people are a little hesitant about, but if done right, they're very efficient and they work very well. If they're done wrong, it's a train wreck.
Right, and that's one of the things that the state of California wants to avoid. We don't want to get the bad rep that heat pumps are bad, when they actually are really good. They're an excellent product. Because I grew up when heat pumps were being spec'd by dozens and dozens of engineers and architects, and we were putting them in right and left, and then we had a lot of problems. Back then, the units were 100% on or 100% off.
Yep.
So you're on or off, so all you had. And so in the valley where we did them, they had a Thule fog, high moisture content, fog, and low temperatures combined to cause the heat pumps to ice up very quickly.
Yep.
When they iced up very quickly, they have to go into defrost. When they go into defrost, made no heat. So we had to put heat strips in. So people's bills didn't get lower, they actually increased some days, and if they're doing gas. So we ended up, people started, and it was cold temperatures. It wasn't as warm as the furnace. So furnaces kind of took over and they went away. When the state of California, not state of California, when the Air Resources Board in South Coast Air Resources Board, and the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District, when those two boards decided to make it ultra low NOx furnaces a mandate, there was no such thing. I opted to switch people to heat pumps, and we've been heat pump pretty much ever since.
And once again, if it's designed right, installed right, commissioned right, maintained, they're very efficient. Variable capacities, all that kind of stuff. Doing different stuff with zoning, focusing on the building more than just the equipment is another big part of it. And you're right, though, electric heat strips. Most people think in California, why do you need electric heat strips? Well, the unit can go into defrost, or there are some places in California that are extremely cold. As a matter of fact, they do cold weather warfare training in Bridgeport, California for the Marines. That's how cold it is. So make sure that if you are doing heat pumps, you're doing them the right way. If not, they're huge energy wasters. Yeah. But so is a gas furnace.
So on our end of it, when the ultra low NOx got introduced, the Thule fog wasn't a problem anymore, and we went to variable speeds for everything. So they're not 100% on. So they didn't build the frost as quickly, and so they usually defrost in the off cycle, and so we don't have the issue with it anymore.
And once again, it all depends on the climate, how much moisture is in the air, how cold it is outside. I mean, there's a lot of variables. The reality is, even if you put electric heat strips in the unit and it never uses it, oh well, big deal, right? And then if it does need it every once in a while, it only works every once in a while.
Right.
Where most people mess up is they'll mess up on the installation of the heat pump itself. It's not designed right. And then they end up running off the electric heat strip because it goes to emergency
heat, right? Or they think I need to put it emergency heat so I get more heat out of it. Yeah, and it's cost them a ton of money.
Yeah.
So one of the best classes that I think that NCI has is their combustion safety CO class, and that was put together by one of the best in the industry, Jim Davis. By the way, I got the the very coveted Jim Davis Technical Excellence Award from NCI.
That's a very good award. Congratulations.
And thank you very much. I didn't know I was going to get it. They just gave it to me. As the first instructor to get one, so I might not be the next one. It'll be another instructor that should get one too. Anyhow, that class, I think, also opens your eyes up to the problems with gas furnaces or any gas appliance that you may have in the home.
Absolutely. And when it comes to natural gas appliances, we most of the time, if we ever see CO in the home, we blame the furnace. And the majority of the time, it's not the furnace, it's the water heater. And then what happens, we change out the equipment, and then we never retest, and they're still getting poisoned with CO. Inherently, gas-fired appliances are not as safe as a heat pump. As far as you're going to have some pushback from some customers, they don't want to go all electric, and I understand. It is kind of weird to cook on an electric stove after cooking on a gas stove for all these years, but it's something that if it's done right, it works. If it's not done right, it doesn't.
So induction stoves work great, by the way. They boil water 10 times faster than you can get with a gas stove. But that being said, on those, they do these classes several times down in Anaheim.
That's right.
And if you want to take a class that will really open your eyes up and show you the problems with gas appliances, take the class. But it's also things that we can fix. That's the thing about the class. We can see the problem, and we can fix the problem. Sometimes it does require changing out a system, but a lot of times it's just like we just need to fix a couple of things.
Yeah, we really focus on not fixing the symptom, but fixing the root problem. Before, most people will go out and fix the symptom. I'll give you an example. Somebody will say, they'll go out and they'll see on the furnace, pressure switch failed to close. Oh, well, the pressure switch must be bad. No, that's the symptom of something else, right? Well, on our end, if you look, there's some national averages out there. The national average of capacity to condition space right now is 57%. That's delivered capacity. The national average for CFM per ton is 282 CFM. We need a minimum of 350. That's on the low end, but we should have somewhere around 400. And on the desert, we can even go all the way up to 450.
Yeah, dry climate, you want more. That's why heat pumps, they want you, by the way, they want 425 to 450 for the CFM for heat pumps typically, because we're doing sensible, not doing latent. We don't care about latent on a heat pump when we're doing that. We're running those. We want a higher airflow.
And once again, you want to make sure that you're designing your systems based off some sort of load calculation, whether you're using a lead, right, soft, conduit, whatever it may be. You want to make sure you're sizing your equipment properly. If not, once again, not designed right, it won't work right.
So does NCI have a class on load calculation?
We do, and it's actually based off Elite software at this point. We just finished one in Anaheim. I don't think there's another one for the rest of the year. But yeah, we do. We go through and they actually bring in laptops and you run a full load calculation on buildings.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you guys also do some commercial stuff. Talk about your commercial classes that you guys have.
Commercial, we've got everything from commercial system performance, commercial air balancing, and we start getting into heavy duty industrial hydronics, advanced classes for balancing.
So didn't they pass that off to Tab though, didn't they?
No, we're still doing all of it.
Oh, are you? Okay.
You're still get certified in for our commercial air balancing. It's still good in California.
It's just the bigger tonnages they passed over.
Yeah, on the larger end. And once again, it doesn't mean that you can't balance a larger job. You should have some experience doing that before you get there. But we still do the hydronics class. That's all about water balancing and testing water flow. Once again, commercial system performance, there's no real stoppage on tonnage. The only thing that got a little funny was when you got into those 150, 200 ton units for the commercial air balancing, a lot of times our stuff wasn't being recognized. And we're working on that too. They wanted 4 letters instead of 3 letters.
3 letters, okay. And then you also do economizers.
A lot of economizer training. That's another one of our big classes there. How an economizer works, how to figure out the ventilation rates for certain buildings. We've lived in an industry that over 83% of the economizers aren't even wired up.
No, I know.
83%.
Bob can testify to that.
Huh?
He looked at me like that because he doesn't have his headphones on. So also you guys you can do commercial hoods with that too.
That's correct. 100% you can do exhaust, you can do makeup air. Everything's all included in that. So that's part of our commercial air balancing. We go through on how to measure grease filters, how to figure out the area of them, the correction factors.
Right.
Using a matrix, using a hot wire, using a large vane, whatever type of tool you might be using.
Okay. So in some of the classes that I've been commercial air balancing certified. I've done all the bunch of the other classes I teach for you guys occasionally, which is try to adjust my schedule so maybe next year I can have a few more classes that you do up there, because I don't want to make you drive. I'd rather go over there and teach the class. So
I just always tell my work, have work, will travel.
I know.
I mean,
it's I don't want to take work away from you, though, because your salary, I would be just hourly.
I have believe me, even if I'm not teaching a class, I got plenty of stuff behind the scenes that's going on.
So you're not going out of state then?
I do, but it's not as much. With having the training facility down in Anaheim, a full-time training center, we're running training sometimes three weeks out of the month down there.
Right.
Sometimes even more, sometimes 4. I think the most I did was almost 7 weeks back-to-back of training.
So they also have NCI has a training center in
Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. And that training center, they just built it, or they're building a new one.
They're building a new one, that's correct.
So the new one they're building, it's going to be really set up. I think it's going to be really awesome.
And there's going to be all live equipment. That's what's really nice about NCI. It's the hands-on portion, getting your hands on a piece of equipment, getting your hand on a tool. And there's something else. If you come to a SoCal Edison class and you complete the class, we have what we call field coaching. Field coaching is anywhere in Southern California Edison territory, and it's at no cost to you. If you're running into a problem with a job, myself or Jeff will come out and bring any tool that we have It'd come out and help you solve the problems, and that's at zero cost to you.
Right, because you've done to the class.
Yep.
So,
Because you've gone to the class.
Yeah, that's an awesome feature, by the way. Take advantage of it. If you guys take any of the NCI classes, I would suggest you take advantage of it, because if you need somebody to get to the register that's really high, we just bring Jeff out.
Yeah.
Because he's only like 6'5", something like that.
Well, we have a wide variety of tools and options. Jeff had a place where they were going to have to move church pews, and they were going to bring in a lift to measure stuff. And instead, he brought out the Dwyer Smart Hood.
Well,
It's on an extension pole, so and you can get at registers from an angle, so they didn't have to move all that stuff.
That's awesome.
Saved a lot of money and time.
Yeah, so that's cool. That's cool. Do you want to add anything else to it, or you want to talk about maybe what tech, how it meshes with tech that you guys, where to find it on the website and stuff? To the classes, do they go to NCI or do they go to?
Yeah, you're gonna go to NCI.com, and as a matter of fact, we're in the process. Monday will be our brand new live website. We've just updated it. I believe it's going to go down tomorrow and then be up again on Monday, and it's a totally new look and a totally revamp of it, and I'm excited for it.
Can't wait to see it.
So
I'm gonna Mondays. I'll be clicking on it right away. I want to check it out, because your site. No offense, but it was a little clunky.
Yeah, I 100% agree. That was part of what we did. What makes NCI also special is all of us trainers and everybody get together once a year, and we start going over topics on some room for improvement. And that was one of the things that was talked about this year, and I'm very excited that they're actually going to launch something new, something that's a little bit more user-friendly, something a little bit more fresh.
Okay. So what's the motto at NCI?
If you're not measuring, you're just
guessing. Yeah. So I had a guy the other day tell me, he goes, I get plenty of air out of that register. And I said, plenty's not a number.
Calibrated hand.
Yeah, the handmometer.
Wet bulb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's.
So that's one thing NCI does, is they're really big on airflow. That was one of the reasons I got, because I was an airhead also before I started doing NCI classes, and it was one of the things the saying was airflow. Those are your three problems in a house.
Yeah.
And take care of that, and everything else should work out. But
well, it's to be said that in order to understand air conditioning, you have to understand three circles. Number one, indoor airflow. Number two, the refrigerant cycle. And number three, outdoor airflow.
The three mass fluid flows.
The three mass fluid flows. The only thing we don't want really running in a circle, you got to understand electrical too. That's another circle. The only thing we don't want running in a circle are flue gases. That's how people get sick and don't wake up in the morning.
Yeah. And that's a big time. That's a big time thing. Yeah. So, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, that would be it.
Then I just got to ask you one question. Why do transformers hum?
Why do transformers hum? Wrong voltages?
No, they just don't know the words.
Oh, they just don't know the words. Thanks a lot, Mitch. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming to the booth.
Thanks, buddy.
And I appreciate you coming in. And then tell Jeff I said hi.